All that we have left today of the giant dinosaurs are their fossils. But by studying their fossil skeletons, we can learn quite a bit about how these animals lived. Many of the bones that are in a dinosaur skeleton, like in this model T-Rex, are the same bones that we have in our own bodies. So, let's explore the skeletal anatomy of Tyrannosaurus rex. A good place to start is the skull. Instead of being comprised of one bone, they're actually comprised of many different bones. Skulls come in many wonderful shapes and sizes, and they can tell us a lot about how animals eat and how they sense the world around them. So for this scaled down T-Rex skull model, if we start at the tip of the snout, these openings are called the nares. This is where the nose would have been located. And then right over here are the orbits, where the eyes were located. Another interesting trait of Tyrannosaurus, unlike in mammals, like this raccoon skull, dinosaurs had two pairs of openings called fenestra on the back of their skull, post-orbit. You have the supratemporal fenestra up top, and then you have the lateral temporal fenestra. There's also another fenestra, the antorbital, along the side of their skull. If we look at the back of the skull, this fused ball of bone is called the occipital condyle. This connects the skull to the vertebral column. The teeth of dinosaurs were located in the upper and lower jaw, where they were held in place by sockets. These sockets would have allowed dinosaurs to withstand larger bite forces and would help prevent tooth loss. Although dinosaurs, just like sharks and crocodiles today, could continuously replace teeth throughout their entire lives. If we look at this 1-to-1 scale replica T-Rex tooth, we can look at the anatomy of the tooth. So right here is the root. This was the part that was held in place by the socket. This pointy, shiny part is the crown. The crown is the part of the tooth that you would have seen when T-Rex opened its jaws. Now, T-Rex has kind of weird teeth for a meat-eating dinosaur. Unlike other meat-eating theropods, Tyrannosaurus had blunt, obtuse teeth. These were adapted for penetrating and crushing bone. Along the side of the tooth, we have these serrations, which are called carina. These are adaptations for cutting through meat. While Tyrannosaurus has very large teeth, there were groups of dinosaurs like the oviraptorids and the ornithomimids that lacked teeth entirely. Now that we've examined this T-Rex tooth, let's look at the rest of the skeletal structure in this dinosaur. The spinal column is connected to the back of the skull and are composed of single bones called vertebrae. The neck vertebrae are called cervical vertebrae. The back vertebrae are called dorsal vertebrae. And the vertebrae that fuse to your hip bones to make a solid structure are called sacral vertebrae. And then the tail vertebrae are called caudal vertebrae. Right here is a fossil snake vertebra. The size and shape of vertebra are adaptations for flexibility and posture. Right here in the center of the vertebra is the centrum, and you can actually see the hole where the spinal cord fits. How incredible is that? The ribs articulate with the vertebrae. Now, us mammals are strange in the sense that we don't have ribs in the rear portion of our bodies. But dinosaurs had ribs that extended all the way down to the pelvis. One part of the skeletal anatomy of dinosaurs that isn't part of this model is the presence of gastralia, or belly ribs. Mammals lack gastralia, but some modern reptile groups, like crocodilians and the tuatara, have gastralia. In dinosaurs, gastralia may have helped in respiration. The arm, leg, shoulder, and hip bones of an animal can tell us a lot about how that animal moves. And it's the same case in dinosaurs. By studying those bones, we can figure out whether a dinosaur was a fast runner, a slow plotter, or a fast swimmer or flyer. Even though we're not closely related to dinosaurs like T-Rex, you have the exact same kinds of bones that make up your arms as those of a tyrannosaur. Wow. Starting off, we have the humerus or upper arm bone. There's nothing funny about that bone. Which leads down to the forearm, which is composed of two different bones, the radius and the ulna, the smaller of the two bones. This leads to the wrists, which leads to the fingers. Now, something that's a little bit off about this model is that it displays the arms kind of like bunny hands. Dinosaurs, and the way that their arms were placed, they actually couldn't do this. If you did this to a dinosaur, you would break its wrists. Their arms were more like this, like they were holding a basketball. While we share the same kinds of bones in our arms with a tyrannosaur, in tyrannosaur arm bones, there are some key differences in the size and shape of the bones, particularly the large claws that were part of the finger in tyrannosaurs. Our claws have been instead replaced by fingernails. The size, shape, and number of bones in a skeleton can tell us whether or not an animal is the same or a different species. Now let's look at the leg bones of Tyrannosaurus. The upper leg bone is one of the largest bones in the body, and you share it with Tyrannosaurus. It's the femur. Moving down away from the femur, we have the tibia and fibula. Fun fact, if you ever break your leg, more than likely you've broken your fibula. The ankle bones in Tyrannosaurus are small and help support the larger bones in the foot. Just like in humans, there are 5 toes represented in the feet of Tyrannosaurus rex. The first claw is small and raised off of the ground. The 3 main toes connect to the ground and help support the dinosaur's body. The 5th toe has been reduced severely over the course of evolution and is now no more than a splint. Dinosaurs were digitigrade walkers. Unlike us, who are plantigrades that walk on the soles of our feet, dinosaurs walked on their toes. They were like giant, terrifying ballerinas. And on that note, thank you so much for coming on this journey with me, and I hope you learned a ton about the skeletal anatomy of dinosaurs. I'm sure you have tons of questions about the bones that make up a dinosaur skeleton. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Did I forget any bones? And while you're there, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about dinosaurs, come check us out at the Tyrannosaurus.